So today, what we're going to go through is graduation. Graduation is basically anything going from longer to shorter in that triangular shape, right? Vertically, it's going to be triangle. Horizontally, it's going to follow the shape of the head. That's if you don't want to over direct anything, okay? So if someone comes into the barber shop or salon or whatever, and they have this sort of hair, they like the length, the bottom is a little bit too long, I will offer more of a graduation look, okay? So same as always, sectioning. What I'm gonna do, opt for, is a box horseshoe on top. This just allows me to take or section off the top from the sides. I'll put that straight across. Like this. And then check for balance on both sides, and then once you're happy, we can tie it up. And then once you're happy, then we can clip it up. If the hair is a little bit shorter, we can use 2 clips on the top. Make sure you get good tension though. Okay. And then we're going to do a little diamond section here at the back. Okay. And basically what this will do is take out any of the area that we need to keep, or any area that we want to see how it goes if we want to keep a little bit more weight there, okay, around the occipital or around the coronal area, okay. So taking it from the corner of the box section and taking it down to roughly around the parietal. Okay, how do you find the parietal? It's where the comb goes flat on the head. Okay, put your finger there and then strike this side onto that side. And tie it up. This is basically just a safety net so that we don't cut this area too short, okay? So, how do we start? I'll usually start, if it's this sort of haircut, I'll usually start on the temple area. This is with back graduation. If I'm doing forward graduation, I'll start from the back and go forward, okay? I'm gonna start down around the temple area, choose a length, and then bring that length into every next length, okay? So bringing the previous section into the next section. That's how we're gonna follow the shape of the head, okay? Okay, so starting at the temple area, we're going to choose our length, okay? This part of the head also is quite flat, so we don't need to put a triangular shape or increase the length here. We can go pretty flat. Okay, so get your fingers in. We're going to go nice and tight with this. Okay, a nice straight across, okay? You can see that both of my fingers are flat to the head because it's the flat part of the head. I don't want to build weight there. Okay. Now we're going to take another section. This also is still on the flat part of the head. Okay. We don't start to increase the length or put in that graduation until we start hitting the rounding of the head, okay? So bringing the last section up into it, right? Seeing my guide from underneath, and cut, okay? This will help whenever we want to do a taper around this area as well, okay? We can see that the 3 or 2 will go into that nicely, okay? Now taking another section, this is the rounding of the head, okay? You can see whenever I start to hit that part. Okay, and that's going to be slightly over directed down to the last sections, okay? Because I want to maintain some length. Taking another section like this. It was a little bit further down now into the back. Taking that previous section into that section. We can help that by combing underneath. Okay. Now we can see that here is longer and it's going shorter towards the bottom. Okay. We can see guide underneath there. So take it. And then we're going to go about finger tight then towards the nape of the neck. If you find it hard around this area to do this, flip the scissors around and cut like that. Okay, pinch the section and pull it out. Okay, taking the last section into that section. Make sure you can see your guideline. Nice and neat sections. Okay. Okay, same thing. Make sure we're moving with the section, okay? So making sure your body doesn't lean. If your body leans, it's telling you to take a step in that direction, okay? I can see my guide underneath. And cut. Okay. Taking another section like this and clipping up what I don't need, okay? This will help us keep consistent through the whole haircut. Okay. Keep it moving. Okay, and then our last section is that little point there. Okay, so we go all the way on one side to that point, and then we go on to the other side and do the same thing, and still diagonal back. The top section towards here, make sure that we don't round it in, so bring it up like this. Okay, make sure we're bringing it down like that, and we'll see our guideline underneath, and then we can cut. Okay. Just gonna go straight across here at the bottom of the neck. And now we cross check, okay? So combing the opposite way which we cut. And if there's any little bits, any little cutting lines, we can just go in there and just nip them. If you're seeing big cutting lines, it means that you've taken your section a little bit too wide. Okay? Good. You can see the shape horizontally is following the shape of the head. Okay? And that's one side done. This part of the haircut as well, I'll always do this. Just get it up around the ear freehand. Obviously holding the ear down first. I just find this keeps me clean, and especially whenever I go to do my detailing work at the end, it's much easier. So I'm not dealing with too much hair. Okay. Now, this is the part where I find that people start to get a little bit confused and even mess up, okay? Is bringing the guide into the next side. Okay? So there's a couple of ways that we can do this. But the best way that I do it is I basically take that top guide and bring it all the way around to this side, okay? So what we can do is we can just see here, that top guideline there, and the way it follows all the way around, follows the head. So we're gonna do the exact same thing horizontally. Seeing this guide here, I'm following the shape of the head, okay? Now I'm gonna work around the head like this. Now before I move on, I'm just going to go to both sides and check for balance. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do, just going to bring this down like this. I'm going to take this first section because that's where my guide is. Seeing my guide at the top and know that I'm going shorter in that triangular shape. Okay. Now, once that's done, I can continue that down. Okay. And to get that finger length at the bottom, exactly like how we done it on the other side. Okay. Making sure you're keeping it nice and damp throughout the haircut. Okay. Taking another section, pushing it forward, and then we can clip up what we're not using. Seeing my guide from the top and seeing the guide from my previous section too. Now you can see that my hand position has changed on this side. On the other side, I did it this way. On this side, I'm going to do it this way. Now making sure that the part that's towards the top is out, not the other way around, okay? Okay. Seeing the guide from the top, and then just working it all the way down now. And I know that I went finger tight on the other side, so I'm going to do the exact same thing towards the bottom on this side as well. Okay, next section, still diagonal back, not taking my sections too big. Making sure that the section that you're cutting is 90 degrees from that section, okay? If we bring the last section down into the last section, we're going to increase the length, okay? Seeing the guide from underneath and cutting. Okay, nice and easy. And just 2 more sections. And you'll start to see the crossover of the sections here now. Okay, and you can see most of it is already cut. Well, I'm gonna go in there and double check it, okay? When we're done, cross check everything the opposite which way you cut it. Good. If there's little bits there, just make sure you nick them there. Okay, when that's done, do the same as what I did on the other side. Nice and freehand, just taking any of them long hairs off. Okay, once you're happy, then we can move on to this part, okay? And then we'll move on to the top. So firstly, we can assess the length that's there, okay? Do we want to maintain all that weight that's there and length? Or do we want to round it in to create a little bit more rounder shape? Or do you want more weight there, which would be more of a triangular or square shape, okay? So I'll opt out for maintaining most of that weight there, okay? So I'm gonna take diagonal back sections like I have on the side, okay? Taking that all the way across to the top of my graduation. Now you can see it nice and clearly there, that guideline there, the top of the graduation. And you'll be able to see it here as well. And we're gonna cut that. All the way down. Okay, now next section does the exact same thing, all the way back to the top of the graduation. Okay, this will maintain the length so that you can keep a lot more length on the top, but it'll still be fully blended in. Okay, I'm gonna take one more and see if anything reaches, but everything's pretty good. And do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, same thing. And everything's good. Okay. Now cross-checking this, we should see a little bit of a triangular shape in the middle, and we can see that. Okay. Okay, now you can see it's fully blended in, but we've kept that weight and shape there, just in the back. Okay, so moving on to the top. Okay, we've cut the sides, we've cut that little triangle apart at the back. Now we're going to cut the top to suit this, okay? If it's more of a slick back, we're going to go for more of an increased layer, okay? Which means longer at the front and a little bit shorter then going towards the back. So now moving into the top, taking that triangle part as a guide and then increasing it a little bit towards the fringe, okay? It's already quite short, so it'll be a small increase, but an increase nonetheless, okay? So comb everything back, and the same as always, we're gonna do a nice little sliver of a profile in the middle. Okay. If you find that you're pulling in some of that hair, just clip up them, okay? We're going to start by looking at the back first. You can see that longest, shortest layer, or the last part that go into it, is around there, okay? And then we're going to increase that towards the front, okay? So I'm going to take this as my guideline, cut. And then nearly leaving the fringe completely. That way the fringe sits back onto that rather than the weight and length trying to push it forward, okay? Now I'm going to work side to side and I'm going to follow the round shape or triangular shape that we have around the head already. This will make sure that you're not left with too much of an overhang whenever this is swept back, okay? So I'm going to take a section straight across from the back, bring it straight up, see my guide, and then just connect the two of them, okay? I don't need to pull that last section into the next section because I technically already have two guides, okay? And then just connected it in round. Making sure that you connect it into the sides, okay? If the top is much longer, we'll opt out for a different approach. But because this is a little bit shorter, we'll just do it this way. And then the fringe, we don't need to touch really all that much, okay? Now you can see, whenever this is slicked back, you can see it's all going to blend nicely together. Okay. Taking that little bit of a profile, and we're going to take it on to the other side and repeat exactly the same thing. straight up, cut, and then taking everything just a little bit more rounder then to connect into the side. Second last section. Okay, and that's basically it done. Just going to check visually. Okay. Now you can see that nice shape going down into the shape of the back. Okay. Just roughly checking, cross checking a little bit there. If there's any little part that you want to, like this, any little part that you want to fix up, just point cut into it, okay? And that's basically your graduated haircut done, okay? So I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of MAC clay, maybe some sea salt spray, and then style it, okay? Okay, so we're going to put a few sprays of this in, just give it a matte look, okay? And then putting a small bit of our MAC clay in as well, okay? Work it into the hands, working it into the head, okay? Getting it in at the roots, so we can get that nice volume and create that nice shape. Okay. Firstly, I'm going to work on the sides, back, and then top, okay? With graduation and styling, you want to graduate it back this way, okay? So that's going to show off your nice shape, okay? Show off your nice graduation. Swap over hands and do the same thing on this side. Now we're going to do the back. push this out of my way so I can have more control on the part that I want to control. And that way at the back that we kept, now you can see that shape coming through, okay? Taking it step by step all the way forward. Okay, and then coming to the front, I'm going to give that a little bit of height and show off the increased layer that we had done as well. Okay, now you can see that nice increased layer going into the back, the weight that we'd left at the back, and then our nice graduation then into the sides, making it a little bit shorter. And we can opt out for a little bit of a taper here because we took it a little bit shorter, like finger tight here. We can do a little taper here and do a little taper here as well. And then finish off a little bit hairspray using the back of our vent brush to get a little bit smoother.